So today's Time for All Ages is from the Reverend Carl Scoble. He says, an Episcopal bishop once told me a story about Easter that has stayed with me for many years. It seems that a fourth grade religious education teacher in the Alabama church he served was trying to explain the Easter story to her children and told them the story of the empty tomb. Then she gave each of them a plastic shell, the kind that pantyhose used to come in. She asked the children to return next Sunday with something in that shell that reminded them of the empty tomb. On the next Sunday, they opened their eggs. One had a flower, one had a tiny felt bunny, one had a small picture of Jesus. Eventually, they came to a boy who had special needs. He was older than most of the children because he had been held back for 2 years. He knew it, and the other children knew it. They were uncomfortable with him and avoided him, occasionally mocking him behind the teacher's back. When his turn came, he opened his shell, and there was nothing inside. The other children snickered. The boy said something rather incoherent, trying to explain his presentation, and the teacher listened carefully to him. Then she looked up to the others and said, "He means the empty tomb." The boy, of course, had gotten it. The empty place is the first sight and symbol of Christian faith, an absence rather than a presence. And with that space and absence comes a sense that the world is not as simple as we imagine it. For all its laws and patterns, the world still has surprises.
And now we move into a time of reflection, another time of reflection. Thank you all for your patience. As we invite you to write your joys and sorrows, concerns and gratitudes, please write them into the chat on the YouTube and write them in all caps if you would like them to be read aloud.
Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release. our children, love our children, keep the circle whole.
These are joys and sorrows that have been written. From Janet Lipner. Can we give a thought to the millions of refugees everywhere in overcrowded camps with few washing facilities? From Rosemary Baldwin. Thanks for Wednesday yoga with Jessica and Doug. It is a joy. From our chat stream. Ellen Rieger. Karen, your hair makes me happy. Thank you, Ellen. It makes me happy too. From Amy Grabowski, grateful for my family's health, especially my sister-in-law, Jan. Laura Hartman, for clergy and others finding a way to serve in these unprecedented circumstances. Melanie Kitchener, glad my brother and sister-in-law both are having tested positive, are healthy. Phil Yandel, grateful for rejoined family. Andrew Fisher, sorry for all the virus suffering in New York. Diane Yost, my joy includes my friends of 30 years, Tom and Susan Carlton, miss you guys. Brandon Maxwell, grateful to have my family safe and united through these tough times. Tim Fay, his name is Michael. Joe Romeo, thanks to Adam for getting us running again. Donna Schiller, grateful for my UCE family and the fun I had coloring Easter eggs yesterday. Shannon Lang, grateful for all the workers in grocery stores, pharmacies, and restaurants. Adam Hirsch, Amanda Hirsch, grateful for access to this comforting service. Sue Larson, grateful for fearless, selfless healthcare workers. Jay Handy, grateful for garbage workers are still picking up our hazardous waste. Maxine Lapin, grateful for the chance to be silly with my sister again. Lucinda Lauder Lindstrom, I'm grateful for all of the creative ways that everyone is coming together during this time. Tim Fee, Great Ellie. Tim Fee, message about Donna Feldman. See above, please. Not sure what that means. Sally Parsons, grateful for the wondrous workers here at the Marion who are taking excellent care of us. So many gratitudes, so many places of wonder, even as we work through and struggle to come online again. We're grateful for your patience. We're grateful for Adam and his working in the background and that making sure that this service can be streamed. For all that is, thank you for sharing.
We hold these as well as the joys and sorrows which are on our hearts but remain unspoken. Together we share celebrations and lessen the burden of our grief. I invite you now to join in the spirit of prayer and meditation. We gather together a community of memory and hope. May we remember when we share what is most important to us, that is where listening begins. When we show that we are listening, when we say each other's life matters, that is where compassion begins. When we open the doors of our hearts, that is where hospitality begins. When we reach out to each other's trembling spirits, that is where love begins. when we risk comfort to ease each other's suffering, when we offer support at the edge of our means, that is where courage begins. When we experience the full presence of each other because of our shared humanity, that is where holy gratitude begins. May this virtual space hold us, encourage us, support us, and bring us hope until we are restored to each other's physical company. And may the memory of this time forever affirm the value of our beloved community. May this continue to be a space of beauty where together we create a series of miracles and where all that we share is sacred. May it be so.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul.
I am obsessed. You know what I'm talking about, right? I read, I sleep, I read, I work, I peek at MSNBC, I read, I look at YouTube. I've been doing this for some time, since January, to be honest. I am obsessed. When news came out that a new bird virus was coming into the world, I was curious. Having studied bacteriology in college, I was aware that viruses can be really devious. So I watched. Wow, China cracked down on that and got it under control. Ooh. Can you ever say that authoritarianism is good? There ever a time when a level of draconian control is okay? A week went by, no real news. Then several cases outside South Korea, Japan, Thailand, but everybody seems so efficient. Canceling events, keeping people inside, curtailing travel. I turned back to our elections. Then about the end of January, I learned coronavirus was in the US. We stopped travel. Shaking it off. Maybe this will be just like SARS. I knew a little bit about SARS because I worked in an insurance brokerage firm in 2003. We had made up these informational packets for clients. They held scenarios about shutdowns and financial crisis with chicken pictures. Chickens never look good close up. Like sharks, their eyes are really unfeeling. Chickens and their pictures apply in devastation. But the scenarios never played out. The flyers were forgotten. We moved on. In January, I still thought this might be something that happens somewhere else, not here. But I'm obsessed, so I kept reading. Deaths in the hundreds, cases in the thousands. Oh, China, 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 China. And then out of the blue, a cruise ship? Really? I read about how the virus is spread. No one knows. I read about protections. No one knows. I read about the US. No one knows. And no one is talking reality. I went out to Costco and bought some extra food just in case. But if there were others that were buying, I couldn't see them. Everything seemed so normal. Then I got scared for the people I sit with in prisons. Unyielding cruise ships on land, I called them. I talked to friends in my chorus about how we would respond, and they just sort of looked at me curious. Why are you so anxious talking about the impossible? I am obsessed with finding a way through. So I watched and I read and I began to search. The 1918 pandemic must hold some clues, right? 5 video films later, I can tell you that in 1918, they knew how to care for one another. They understood that some part of a community would survive, might survive, as they took the challenge together. But then in 1918, with labor riots, World War I, cholera, TB, they had practice at being in community in times to get suffering together. I thought about my grandparents and great-grandparents. My mom's parents, both born in 1904, never spoke about it. Though we knew about Boy Scouts and ornithology and my grandmother's discovery that clean cages might actually ensure bird health, we heard stories about war and the Great Depression, but we never heard anything about the flu that ravaged their youth. Why? Why so little poetry, no paintings or little painting? Where is the art? This invisible killer that claimed over 50 million people, or 1/5 of the world's population, was silent in every way. Today, like in 1918, the plague is indiscriminate, rampant in urban and rural areas, from the most densely populated East Coast of America to the remotest places in Alaska. But its impact is more greatly felt by those who do not have the ability to distance themselves, those who shared outhouses and lived in crammed tenements, housing that doesn't allow for a distance, those who were overlooked because, as is true today, their plights mattered less to those in power. They lived in conditions that exacerbated long-term challenges, leading to greater death once contracted. Environmentally vulnerable places with suboptimal or non-existent health care. Somewhere in all of this, there must be examples, answers, knowledge, control. Control. The pillar of white middle class existence, suddenly gone. I'm aggrieved by so much of this. Aggrieved to see the red dots just blooming in the South, where there is little or no factual news. Aggrieved that our own liberal state is still hesitating around releasing people on bond, in detention, reviewing those in prison. I am still obsessed. I am still watching, still reading. So now I do it at 2:57 a.m. with the president and Fox News finally reporting a problem. What I seek now, I find, is entirely different. Instead of answers, instead of control, which from my tightly held fist is suddenly being let go, I'm seeking grace. A moment of Kyrie, of mercy. There is kindness in this world. Pictures in windows, groceries on doorsteps, Money being collected for restaurant workers calls to the sheriff. Is this now our hope? Can we find our way?
Have mercy on me, oh God. Have mercy on me, oh God. Rain down your love to my open heart. Have mercy on me, oh God. Have mercy on me, oh God. Let love be the guide for my ways. Let love be the guide for my ways. Rain down your love to my open heart. Let love be the guide for my ways. Love be the guide for my ways. Grant peace to my heart and my soul. Peace in my heart and my soul. Rain down your love to my open heart. Peace to my heart and my soul. Peace to my heart and my soul. Mercy, oh God, on us. Have mercy, oh God, on me. Mercy on me. Rain down your love on me. Oh, mercy, oh Lord, on me. Have mercy, oh God, on me.
Step into the beginning of a story being told the world over, a story many people look to for hope, about a journey, a fallen hero, a trial, a cross, an empty tomb, and the life of an itinerant carpenter named Jesus. As we gather today looking for solace and answers, let us use this story to explore where we are and how we might respond. Let it help us understand our world the way any good story can. You may not think of yourself as a Christian. You may not believe the stories told, may even question if any of the writing from 2,000 years ago has validity. But today I ask you to set that aside and wonder with me for a moment. Why has this story lasted? Sometimes I forget that Jesus came into Jerusalem a week earlier than Easter. Today, on the back of a borrowed colt, hailed with such fervor that even the rocks would proclaim his greatness with joy. Jesus was cared for, respected, beloved. He was what we might call today the real deal. He spoke about the oppressed and how they needed to be treated, but then he went that extra step and he lived with the oppressed. This is proximity. He got down with the downtrodden and the real outcast. He traveled with foreigners. He touched people with boozy gunk. He ate dinner with tax collectors, healed the enforcer of tyrannical Roman rulers' rules, children. By living with these people, Jesus made the integrity of his radical message real. His message? Everyone gets justice. Everyone deserves compassion. Everyone belongs in community. Jesus rode in to the cheers from people who likely felt seen and heard and valued in a way they simply had not been for a really long time, if ever. In Jesus, there were practical messages. If you need to feed yourself on the Sabbath, then pick things up and feed yourself. He spoke about the meek, those who didn't have power inheriting the earth. He offered advice that could help you feel like you were in control. If someone demands that you carry their gear, take it an extra mile. That choice is yours. Jesus had the power to speak about a reality of their lives so that others listened and were moved. You don't get a crush of 5,000, 7,000, or somebody that would write about those numbers unless what you say touches the hearts of people and allows them hope. As he entered Jerusalem, cheers rose from the masses of hard-working, everyday people who finally heard their concerns honored by someone to whom others were listening. In this time, what would Jesus do? Well, my reading of the Bible, he would likely have been gathering people to work for change and justice now. Today, he would have been out cheering on the healthcare workers, maybe even offering a hand. He would probably be at the border demanding changes and entrance. He would be calling on Sheriff Dart and District Attorney Kim Fox to release people held. He might be sitting in the galleries as Congress tries to find a way forward, maybe even bearing witness with poor families impacted by unsafe and unstable jobs. I'm not sure, obviously. But I know that his life story speaks about being with and advocating for those marginalized and maligned in our world. The crowd probably knew that Jesus would have further clashes with authority. He was their champion. They had other stories of champions like Moses, who spoke to Pharaoh and then lived out his years in exile. The prophet Jeremiah, who spoke out about the first temple's destruction and then lived in fear for his life. They knew Jesus was special and perilous. So Jesus rode in with cheers, and within a week, he had been killed. Most of us know the story, right? The public argument about a celebration of Passover, a disciple leading authorities to a garden where Jesus waited, somehow knowing humanity was never going to let someone who speaks truth to power live easily. We know that even today, looking at the attacks on Dr. Fauci by the alt-right, he has a security detail now. Take care of those who tell the truth. As we seek to find answers and control, the story reminds us that humanity is complicated. At the foot of the cross, we hear the full range of responses. The cry of the powerful Sanhedrin, wanting to keep what they had in the tribunal, looking to destroy any voice so charismatic and clear that it would gather a storm of radical questions against them. The protest of Peter, disciple who denies just wanting to survive and betraying himself. The crowd wanting relief from fear or clarity about who's in charge of a mob. The mob who 5 days earlier had cheered. Were they murmuring? Do you hear that? Could you hear them saying, well, he'd gone too far toppling the tables in the temple, really. He shouldn't have touched that bleeding woman. It goes against who we are. Did you hear that he had dinner with tax collectors? I heard he saved a centurion's child. That's crossing a line. Jesus asking for help for his mother. The cry of a son of someone who knows the grief and the challenges ahead for anyone related to one crucified. Crucifixion was so shameful that families would not speak of it. We're all in there someplace. Maybe the murmurs, maybe the protest, maybe the powerful, maybe the ask. But we are all in there, all humans sin. And Christians believe that it's in this act of torture that those same sins that brought Jesus to the cross in the first place are what would then save them. But I would count this not as a Mel Gibson moment, but in a very real reckoning with the knowledge that in living, we are imperfect. No one is going to get this moment 100% right. Do we ever get anything 100% right? We cannot see the full expanse of history we are living within, so we listen for the truths that we know in our heart. Fight, yes. And this story asks us to remember forgiveness. Ask for forgiveness, for mercy, for all that we should have done. The story takes one final turn. They took Jesus down from the cross and they placed his body in a tomb. The community of Jerusalem, those closest to Jesus, observed Passover, and on the following day, Mary Magdalene went to the tomb to pray, prepare the body, to grieve, doing those things that we are not. As she approaches, she finds the tomb empty. Why? Why offer this? Now, whether resurrection is real or metaphorical is the stuff of long, deeply contested research and debate, even in the Christian world. But of all the responses in this story, Mary Magdalene's offers me the most hope within our worry world. When faced with this thing, with this horrible answer, with the loss of her friend and liberator, she gathers those she trusts, and then over time, she allows a new world to open up into her being. She allows something new to be a part of who she is and how she is living in the world. In this whole story, Mary remains open to the possibility that other answers may still be found. She makes room for what might be, even as she was in a place of honoring what was. The empty tomb is the belief that the hardest, most entrenched things can actually change, that we do not ever know the full arc of this world. New things still happen if we look to find them, if we work to make them. But it starts with believing they are possible. We must act as if we believe that it is possible for authorities and authoritarians to listen. We must act to ensure that both sides of the aisle show up to have a conversation, not simply political theater. We must ensure that Mitch or Lindsay or Devin and his cow know the people they are marginalizing. Now is the time to act in hope as well, to hang up pictures in your window, give financially, stand with those without a voice. We act so that our families and friends might follow that lead. Yes, work for justice. Yes, speak out in compassion. Yes, build community. And now as you obsess, act as if you believe in transformation. Maybe the kindness that we are seeing can stick this time if we work and believe. This is not about a specific belief. It is about living a life of faith supported by your work. Our world is broken. The answer as Unitarian Universalists is not to turn away and wait for someone else to save us. The resurrection, that final turn in the story, offers a different message. We may yet be able to change individual, institution, even systemic sins. If we have faith in humanity, we may yet save ourselves. The question is twofold. Are you willing and ready to act as if you believe? And do you believe in something large enough to keep your eyes open to what is and what might yet be? Are you ready? Really? Are you ready to find an empty tomb and risk changing the world in response? Believing so deeply that you will work because you know the impossible can happen. Let us believe that new world, and let us start working toward it today. So mote it be, my friends. So mote it be. We turn now to our offering. I now need to find. We take up an offering of this community so that its work can go forward. UCE's shared offering recipient of the month of April is Faith in Place. Since 1999, Faith in Place has worked with over 1,000 houses of worship throughout Illinois to protect our sacred land, water, and air. Each Sunday in April, we are highlighting one example of how Faith in Place, out of their mission, has helped, and why we hope you'll support them through this Sunday shared offering. Faith in Place is particularly sensitive to churches in economically disadvantaged neighborhoods. These churches have had enough hard time covering their operating expenses, let alone investing in energy efficiency projects. With Illinois State Treasurer Michael Frenches, the Environs Federal Credit Union, Faith in Place assists these churches in securing low-interest loans. Please give as generously as you are able, and may what you give bring you joy. You can text to give, send in a check to give, or give from our website. But may that giving expand your heart. Oh no, the dog has been let out. Now.
Above all, we know that we are held in love, a love whose tensile strength is limitless. It will stretch, it will give, but it will not let go. May we trust in that love, in these strange times and in all times. Please sing these words by Mary Louise Bringle on your screen. The tune is the familiar Hymn to Joy.
Sing a new world into being, sound a bold and hopeful theme. Find a tune for silent yearnings, lend your voice and dare to dream. Dream a church where all who worship find their lives and loves belong. Sing a new world into being, sing as love inspires your song. Sing a new world into being, where each gender, class, and race bring its rainbow gifts and colors to love's limitless embrace. Where the lines that once divided form instead the ties that bind. Sing a new world into being, risk transforming heart and mind. Sing a new world into being, where the homeless find a home, where no children ever hunger, but are filled with God's shalom, where all people work for justice, where all hate and vengeance cease. Sing a new world into being, raise the harmonies of peace. Sing a new world into being, join the ancient prophets' cry, for a time of health and plenty, when all tears have been wiped dry, when compassion flows like waters, pouring balm for all who grieve. Sing a new world into being, live the promise you believe.
Thank you all, each and every one of you, for joining us, for making it through from one YouTube to another. We hope that you'll join us for our virtual coffee hour. There's a link in the description of this YouTube chat. Please use that link. Zoom added a password this morning, unbeknownst to us. These final words in benediction are from Margaret Wheatley. A gesture of love. A gesture of love is anything that helps others discover their humanity. Any act where we turn to one another, open our hearts, extend ourselves, listen. Anytime we're patient, curious, quiet, or engaged. May your lives be so filled with those acts of discovering of your humanity, and may you offer that discovery to others as well. Please join us for the coffee hour. Again, remember that the link is in the chat. There will be time for a larger gathering, but then we will split into small groups for conversations. Peace, my friends. May you be well.
fallows ground, friends to be gathered round. Oh my soul,